Alright, it's Chuck and Tim. We are back to give you another tutorial on how to do a die. We had lots of responses on our last video. A lot of people wanted to know exactly about how to cut out the design. So we're going to start off with that. First thing you want to do is you want to have a printout of the design. You can find it on the internet. You'll notice it's on an 8.5 piece of paper. It's mighty convenient because most discs are just about 8.5 inches wide.
Ching!
There was a great deal of foresight on disc designers' parts back in the 80s. For most of your designs, you want to have it just be a solid black type design. Simpler is easier, obviously.
Yep.
If you get too many tight little details, it can be tough to cut out. As you can see here, Chuck's light table is really coming in handy. This is pretty much essential for your disc cutting. If you don't have a light table, you can rig something up. When I tried this before, I used a reading light that I attached to my glass coffee table. I've also heard about people using old aquariums and rigging a light in there. So we have our design here, then we want to attach a piece of vinyl to it.
Vinyl. Let's see here. Yeah!
And there you have the vinyl. You can see Chuck has traced a circle on there to be the exact size of the disc.
Yep. It makes it easier to line up the design on the disc later on.
Right. And it also helps lining up right here. And so he's just going to throw a little bit of tape onto the vinyl.
Tape!
And this vinyl, if you haven't seen our video before, this vinyl is basically the same stuff that they make bumper stickers out of.
There we go.
And Chuck is ready to start cutting. So yeah, this is the same stuff they make bumper stickers out of. You can find this at a sign shop. If you don't want to go to an actual sign shop, just look online. Just Google sign vinyl. Basically, you want to get a light colored vinyl so you can trace through it. As you can see with the image here, it shows up nicely to the table, but if you had like dark blue, it'd probably be a little bit more of a pain in the butt. As far as the quality of the vinyl, you want to get the cheaper, intermediate grade, just because you don't need it to be the high durability stuff that's going to be outdoors forever. But you do want to make sure you get some sort of name brand vinyl. This is 3M here, but other brands are like Oracal and I don't know. Do you know any other major brands, Chuck?
Scotch, but I think Scotch might be the exact same as 3M.
Yeah, I think it just might be.
Don't get bargain vinyl off of eBay.
Yes, bargain is bad. Bargain leaves goop on your disc when you pull it off, and it's nasty. And it also doesn't cut as well. If you're lucky, you can go to a sign shop and become friends with a guy, and he'll give you scraps for free. And if you're getting scraps, basically you want to make sure that it's about 10 inches by 10 inches for your designs. As you can see, Chuck is just cutting along here. Just basically tracing the design.
If I missed anything? Yeah, I'm missing stuff.
When you're cutting, you want to apply enough pressure to cut through the vinyl, but not through the backing.
If you cut through the backing, it's not the end of the world, but it's just, you know, it's not necessary, and it dulls your blade a lot faster.
Right, and on that note,
sharp blade.
Yes, sharp blade is key. If you have a dull blade, it won't cut through the vinyl as well. It'll just kind of pull and wrinkle your image as you're trying to cut it out.
Too much coffee, I'm shaking.
As far as things to look out for when you're cutting, circles can be a real pain in the butt. just trying to maintain the line, especially if you're doing like a circle around the whole edge of the disc. It can be tougher than you would think.
Yeah, when you're cutting a circle, you wanna treat it like when you're driving a car and going down a curve. You don't want to look at the road right in front of you and just keep making little turns and little turns. You want to look to the distance and just keep your turn going smoothly. Because if you don't, you're just gonna have a bunch of janky looking lines and angles.
Right. And also, another thing that proves to be more difficult than you might think at first is if you're doing any kind of lettering in your design.
Lettering sucks. It's too detailed. We got some straight lines here.
Okay. One trick for cutting straight lines is using a ruler. And just happen to have one handy.
I like to keep it cold, you know.
Yes. Cold ruler is key. I'm kidding.
It certainly helps doing straight lines, especially if you're doing really long straight lines. You know, the hand kind of waves around a little bit. You're doing straight lines.
Especially after drinking too much coffee.
Go. Ruler. Ruler. No sweat. Alright, we're done.
Okay.
Oops.
And that was a quick and easy die, or cut out there. So now we move on to the process called weeding. That's not weaning. We're not suckling our our discs here. Weeding is pulling off the parts of the vinyl that we're not going to use. Basically, the parts of the disc that we want colored. You have to kind of switch your brain around to look at the image in a negative to think about the way that it's going to look on the disc.
It's also easiest to do the weeding while the design's still on the vinyl, just because then you can see which parts are black, which parts are coming off.
Right.
So
that is weeded. Is that actually a word?
I don't think so.
Now we move on to the transfer tape. This brought up a lot of questions too when we did it before. Yeah, you can see this stuff is called transfer right. It's also called application tape. So if you go into the sign shop, if you're looking around online, look for application tape. This stuff is basically the same thing as masking tape. It comes in different widths and different levels of tackiness. This is a 4-inch roll that we have here. And
I think this is a 3-inch one.
Oh, well.
That's what she said. Oh!
Oh!
I didn't plan that. You want to just use enough to cover all the cut areas. I used to use an entire sheet to cover all the vinyl. It's just wasteful. You don't need
Right.
that. You don't need that.
We don't want waste.
No. Get it stuck on there really nice.
Right. And the whole reason you can't really see it on this disc because it doesn't utilize islands that we call them. But you'll see when you take the backing off of the vinyl, if you have pieces that aren't connected, like if you look at this here, the whole image is actually connected. But on like our previous die, we had parts that weren't connected to the vinyl, and
got to keep it all in the same place relative to each other.
Right. So once you peel the backing off, if you don't have that transfer tape on there, then you would have to try to apply the pieces by eye to line them up correctly, which
it's no good.
Yeah, you'd end up with a cockeyed looking die. And even if you don't have the islands, you can see Chuck put the transfer tape on here anyway, and it just gives it that much more rigidity because the vinyl is, well, it's vinyl, which means
flimsy.
It's pliable and stretchy. And this just gives it a little bit more rigidity to help you keep your vinyl flat. And we are ready to put it on a disc.